Hey everyone, welcome to our new show, Disfellowshipped, the show where we explore what happens when belief systems, relationships, and mental health collide at 75 miles per hour on I 4. I'm your host, Tanya Sparks, and today we're diving into something that's deeply personal and emotionally exhausting: being disfellowshipped, and what that kind of spiritual ghosting can do to your mental health. Before I dive in, I want to be clear. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't the only ones who practice spiritual shunning. You'll find versions of spiritual exiling in plenty of high control groups. But today, I'm focusing specifically on the witnesses because that's where I came from and it's the world I know best. And listen, this isn't about bashing or shaming. This is about telling the truth, my truth. Because too many people are going through this silently, just like I did for most of my life. If you're still in the faith or love someone who is, just know this is one perspective, but it's a real one. So let's break it down a bit. If you're not familiar, disfellowshipping is kind of like being voted off the island, except the island is your entire life, your family, your childhood best friend, even your pioneer partner from that summer you placed the most magazines. That's your door to door teammate, by the way. Basically, if you do anything considered morally or doctrinally wrong, like having sex outside marriage, leaving the religion, or asking a few too many questions, you can be cut off from the congregation. And everyone's still in? They're expected to cut you off completely. No texts, no calls, no awkward small talk in passing. My daughter actually reminded me of a moment from years ago. We were walking through a grocery store near my old Kingdom Hall and spotted someone that I had known from the congregation. I kid you not, she took her child's hand, set down her basket, and walked out of the store. Just like that. Now, this is an extreme example with a lot of emotion behind it, I'm sure, but it's a real example. To the witnesses, it's not just breaking a rule, it's full shutdown. The official goal, according to JW literature, is to keep the congregation clean in God's eyes. It gets compared to Adam and Eve being kicked out of Eden or how ancient Israel handled lawbreakers. In short, protect the group, even if it means emotionally drop kicking individuals. Now, they'll tell you this is an act of love, kind of like when your cat drops a dead mouse at your feet and looks proud of itself. You're supposed to reflect, feel the consequences, and hopefully come back crawling with repentance. And sure, some people do come back, but a lot don't. And in the meantime, they're completely cut off. If your whole life was inside of that community, the silence can be deafening. Here's the thing. That kind of chronic social rejection, it lights up the same part of your brain as physical pain. Neurologists have studied this. Your body literally can't tell the difference between being shunned and being punched. And when that pain has no outlet, no closure, no conversation, it turns inward. That's how you get spirals of self-doubt, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. And sometimes it doesn't stop there. It shows up in the body. Digestive issues, insomnia, panic attacks. Your nervous system stays on high alert, still trying to win back love. That's never coming. Let's get real. We're wired for connection. Humans are basically big emotional golden retrievers. We need people. And when that connection gets ripped away overnight, especially when you're told you deserve it, that hits hard. Here's where I get a little personal. When I was disfellowshipped, I was still living in the same house as my Jehovah's Witness family, and no one would speak to me. Let that sink in. Sharing a kitchen with people who treated me like I didn't exist. I was a ghost in my own home. I was so desperate for a connection, any kind of acknowledgement, that I ended up marrying the only person who hadn't disappeared. Not because it was love, not because it was healthy, but because he still spoke to me. He treated me like I was still alive. And spoiler alert, it wasn't a love story. He was abusive in every way. But at the time, I convinced myself that bad love was better than no love at all. Trauma bonding is real. When you're isolated, scared, and starved for connection, your brain starts rewriting the definition of love. It says, this hurts, but at least it's something. A lot of survivors of spiritual abuse struggle with this. We confuse attention with affection, control with care. That's not weakness. That's survival. We just need someone, anyone, to see us. And what really adds insult to injury? The decision to disfellowship someone doesn't even require solid proof. 2 people said you did something wrong. Boom. You're brought before a committee of elders behind closed doors. No appeals, no defense, no due process. Just a judgment that changes your entire life. Mental health professionals have said that this kind of isolation can lead to anxiety, depression, even physical issues like heart problems or a weakened immune system. It isn't just awkward, it's hazardous to your health. For many of us, the silence says you don't matter anymore. It's like being ghosted by your entire life. And people will say, well, they can always come back. But this isn't like texting your ex after a few therapy sessions. Coming back means publicly admitting you were wrong, jumping through hoops, and enduring emotional bruises. And for many, the damage is already done. Look, I get that every community has rules. Boundaries are important. But when those boundaries become walls with barbed wire on top, and they lead to abandonment instead of accountability, that's not discipline. That's trauma. If you've gone through this, or if you're going through it right now, please hear me. You are not alone. There are people who understand, people who've lived it, people who are ready to support you without demanding a confession first. That's it for today's episode of Disfellowship. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bonus points if you made it through without crying, rage laughing, or texting your therapist. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it. And seriously, if you felt the sting of being cut off, or if you're still figuring out who you are after losing your spiritual community, I want to hear your story. Raw, messy, still unfolding, or already healed, your voice matters. You can email me at disfellowshippod@gmail.com or send a voice memo if you'd rather speak your truth than write it. Some of these stories may be featured in future episodes, only if you're comfortable, of course, because this space, it's not just mine. It's for all of those who have been told to stay quiet. And the more stories we tell, the less power silence has. And hey, just one more reminder, this podcast isn't about shaming or tearing people down. It's about truth-telling, healing, and making space for the messy, complicated stuff that doesn't get talked about enough. I'm sharing my story because I know there are others silently carrying out similar ones, and you don't have to carry them alone. Until next time, stay human, stay hopeful, and most of all, don't stay silent.